Hello, everybody. Welcome to another New York 360. How's it going? Hope you're having a good week so far.
This week we've decided to go to Broadway Junction. It's right down the street from our house. We live near a lot of trains, and here we are. Mike has all of the information about Broadway Junction this week, so he's going to fill you in on lots of new information.
That's right. Jesse did it the past couple weeks, so I figured I'd take a crack at it this time. So we're going to do what we've done previously. We're going to walk around and do the facts over the video. So I hope you enjoy. So Broadway Junction.
Yeah.
Would you like to learn a little bit about it?
I really would.
All right. Broadway Junction is a train station that serves the A, C, J, Z, and L train lines.
Oh.
It serves 2.8 million people a year, which is 171st of 424 stations in the city. However, that's kind of misleading because that's the number of people that actually go into the station.
Aha.
But it serves 100,000 passengers a day, mostly through transfers.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah. So in fact, it serves, if you did the math, 36.5 million people a year on average.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. So that actually makes it the third busiest station in Brooklyn.
Whoa. What are the first two?
Those I didn't look up.
Oh, you don't know? I bet Atlantic, like Barclays Center is one.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll find out later.
If anybody knows offhand, you can write it in the comments.
Ooh.
So Broadway Junction sits atop the historic Jamaica Pass. And geologically, it's a terminal moraine.
What does that mean?
A terminal moraine is glaciation terminology. It's where all the glacial sediment settles when a glacier stops advancing. So Long Island itself is like a giant just pile of glacier dirt.
Whoa.
I don't know if you knew that.
I never knew.
That's true. And in that particular area, it kind of ties in with our video last week with the Ridgewood Reservoir.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was the second highest point in Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
Well, that has something to do with all the sediment settling there. So when you're in the actual station, if you look to the north, you can see it's a lot hillier. And then if you look down to the south, you'll see Jamaica Bay and the marshes, which I guess is where all the rainwater settles down there. So I guess it makes sense that they're separated in that way.
Do you know about this because you're from Long Island?
I knew that the sediment
Yeah,
that Long Island that's why it was formed.
Ah,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So I said it was historic, and it's not just because it's geologic history. It's also historic because it was one of the earlier settled areas in the city. The Dutch settled it in 1650.
Oh.
And it rests on the intersection of Broadway, Fulton Street, and Jamaica, hence the junction. And in fact, Broadway is the youngest of those three roads in the 1800s. The other ones are also from the 1650s.
Oh, wow. They were all Dutch roads?
I think so. I guess I'm not going to say with 100% certainty. Jamaica Avenue may have previously been a Native American road, but the Fulton Street was also previously Fulton Ferry Road, so I guess that was how people got to and from the ferry. And so after, it was from the Dutch, it went to the British. The area has a place not just in New York history, but in American history.
Oh.
In August of 1776, British and Hessian, or German, soldiers conducted an all-night forced march to surprise General Washington and the Continental Army at the Battle of Long Island.
Oh, wow.
Or the Battle of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Again, depending on where you grew up and what social studies class you took.
Right.
But the British totally routed the Americans, and it set off a 3-day-long battle across the entirety of Brooklyn that ended with Washington retreating from Brooklyn and ceding the entirety of New York City for the remainder of the war.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, this was August of 1776?
That's right, yeah.
Oh.
And of course, it's funny because, history is written by the victors. The history books talk up the retreat as like this dramatic, daring thing that they did across the East River to get out of Brooklyn.
Right.
And it's true, they did. But, if they lost, it wouldn't have been dramatic or daring. It just would have been the British crushed the American soldiers. And
Right.
then they retreated.
Totally.
But yeah, it was in fact super important for the revolution because if that was the entirety of their army. If they hadn't gotten out, the war would have been over.
Whoa.
But moving back to the present, Broadway Junction resides in a subsection of Bed-Stuy known as Ocean Hill.
Yes.
I've heard some people talk about it, the legitimacy of the neighborhood, because it's kind of tied to gentrification, the idea that it's like they're selling Bed-Stuy as like a new area to people. But the designation actually dates back to 1890. So it's not something that's...
Of Ocean Hill.
Yeah, there is gentrification that's happening. So the renaissance of Ocean Hill may be due to that, but it's not like it was like one of those,
New
realtor-created neighborhoods that people are so,
angry
happy
about.
Yeah. But for the first half of the 20th century, it was predominantly an Italian neighborhood from 1900s to about the 1960s, at what point, with white flight out to the suburbs kind of changed the dynamics of many neighborhoods in the city. And so as of the 2010 census, it is 78% African American, 18% Hispanic or Latino, and 1% white.
Oh, wow. I wonder what 2020 census will say.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what the change that comes with this year's census, because I'm sure it's changed in some respects.
Yeah.
And so the playground we're walking around is actually the Callahan Kelly Playground. And it's named after two soldiers who died in World War I, William E. Callahan and Edward E. Kelly. Middle names starting with E were very popular back then.
Is that true, or are you just making a joke?
I don't know. If I say it with authority, is it really true?
Depends on who you're asking, I guess.
Both were local residents to the area.
Oh, did they fight in the Battle of Brooklyn?
No. That was in the 1700s.
When did you say they were soldiers? I kind of zoned out.
World War I.
Oh, shit. Cut that out.
It's definitely staying in.
Oh, no. I just wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry.
So the city acquired the land in 1938.
Okay.
And local law 115 of 1939 made it a World War I memorial site. And then in 1945, it was given to the Parks Department to make this park site.
Okay. That's during World War II?
Yes.
So they just they were like, we're in another war, we don't want this anymore? Forget
don't
about
know.
that
I
war,
mean,
let's just make this, I don't know. What were they thinking?
Well, the thing that's interesting to me about it is that I looked up whatever the local law 115 of 1939 was.
Yeah.
And there's no information about it. The
Oh,
only
really?
two links on the internet are the park description things.
So it was like a local law maybe made specifically for that park?
I don't know, but it's weird to me that, or I guess I get a little conspiratorial, but like the city acquired the land in 1938.
Yeah.
And then it became a World War I site in 1939.
Yeah.
By what means did they acquire the land in 1938? Like, did they
like what?
Did they seize it, or did they buy it and then
Right, like who had that land before?
Because I can imagine in a contemporary thing where it's city seizes the land and then names it after soldiers, and people are like, well, okay, I guess it's a soldier thing. I'm not going to fight that. And then they let it simmer for 6 years, and then they turn it over to the Parks Department.
And then they turn it into a park. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean,
maybe someone watching this video will know more information about local law 115.
If you or anyone you know anything about local law 115, contact Highley Varlet. And that's all we got.
That's a lot of information. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
So that's all.
Wow, I've learned so much from Mike today. Thanks for sharing.
So that's it for this week, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it. There's a car that's coming by. It's checking out what we're doing. If you like what we're doing, please come back every Friday. We're going to do another 360 video so long as we can. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that jazz. We've also got Jesse's crafting stuff that we're working on.
We do every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. We're live streaming craft work.
Yeah, so we're keeping busy. I hope you are too. And I hope everybody's healthy and well, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.
How's it going?
The streets out and get paid for it, huh?
I wish. No.
They don't pay you for that.
No. No.
I was saying them earlier in the store.
Yeah, I wish.